mono speaker. It would be nice if the earpiece also worked as a stereo speaker, especially since this small side-facing speaker can be easily muffled when you're handling the phone, especially during gaming. But if you're a fan of headphone jacks, you'll be glad to know that that's still here and water resistant. As always, the S Pen is very nicely integrated into the bottom corner of the phone, and you can eject it by pressing the top of it, and it just pops out, and you can pull the S Pen out. Now, the S Pen is a passively powered stylus, meaning that the display does all of the work, and you don't need to recharge the S Pen, which is still very small. So if you have big hands like I do, it can feel a little too delicate, but it's nice and precise. Speaking of water resistance, this is IP68 certified, which means both the S Pen and the phone itself can be submerged in water up to 1.5 meters, up to 30 minutes. And if you pop the SIM tray, you'll find a gasket surrounding it, which keeps it nice and watertight. Now, in that SIM tray, you'll also find the micro SD card slot. So this does support SD-XD cards, which can go up to 2 terabytes. But of course, we have quite a bit of internal storage as well. We have anything from 64 gigs all the way up to 256 gigs with 6 gigs of RAM. As always, when it comes to specs, it gets a little complicated here just because there's 2 CPUs, one in the US and China and one in the rest of the world. So the US and China get a very familiar Snapdragon 835, while the rest of the world gets the Exynos 8895 octa-core CPU. And of course, the Snapdragon comes with the Adreno 540 GPU, while the Exynos comes with the Mali G71 GPU. Well, the battery is quite a bit smaller here. It's 3,300 milliamp hours. Now, Samsung says this has nothing to do with the Note 7. Instead, the phone just doesn't have enough room for a larger battery. Battery life is a little disappointing for a device of this size. I'm seeing a fairly average 4 hours, 4.5 hours of on-screen time for a full day of use. Now, you can manage this a bit better if you dial back the resolution, the screen brightness, as well as using one of the power saving measures. So for me, using this full blast, it seems to be about 4.5 hours of on-screen time, but I do get a full day out of it. The Note 8 is compatible with the DeX Station. So I've reviewed this previously. I'll leave that linked in the description below, but this allows you to turn your Note into a desktop computer. For experience, starting with the lock screen, we have that always on display, which is showing us our notification badges as well as the date and time and battery status. We also have the home button for waking up the device, and when you press on it, you do get some haptic feedback. Of course, we can see all of our notifications and expand out our quick settings up top. Of course, with the S Pen, we also have the off-screen memo app. So this allows us to jot down the memo as soon as you eject the S Pen without unlocking the device. So if I write down test just to show you, I can save this in the Notes app, or I can pin it to the always-on display. So if I pin it to the always-on display, every time I wake up the device, I have quick access to that note. So it allows me to quickly glance something that might be important. Of course, we can customize the always-on. So from the edges to the glass, it's very reflective. But again, it's a really nice looking phone and certainly feels great in the hands with that symmetrical design rounded at the edges with a curved glass display. But we're going to set this aside and get to all of the accessories. So first up, of course, paperwork, and lots of it. In this case, it's specific to the T-Mobile version I have. And of course, we also get a SIM ejection tool. All of the accessories are black this time instead of white. And first up, we have the adaptive fast charger. Pretty familiar accessory for Samsung. Besides the color, the design hasn't really changed. But we also get a bunch of easily lost accessories, such as 2 USB-C adapters, one for USB-A and the other for micro USB. There's a separate compartment for the charging cable, and we get a set of AKG headphones. Now, these are pretty decent headphones, nothing remarkable, but they're a nice in-ear style headphone with an inline remote control and microphone, and we also get this durable fabric cable, which should last longer than the typical set of included headphones. We also get a set of ear gels to find the right fit. And lastly are the accessories unique to the Note series, which are some pen tips so we can replace them. We also get the pen removal tool. So although the Galaxy Note 8 is a substantial update from the Note 7, it's pretty much an iteration of the Galaxy S8 Plus, but there are some significant differences. One of them is the S Pen, of course, along with a dual camera system, a larger 6.3-inch screen, and of course lots of software features that take advantage of the S Pen stylus. But once again, we have a curved screen design, Gorilla Glass on the front and back, Bluetooth 5.0, wireless fast charging, and contactless payment systems such as Android Pay and Samsung Pay. And like it or not, we get a dedicated Bixby button. The big news with the Note 8, like many smartphones this year, is the extra tall display with the shrunken bezels. So although we still have small bezels at the top and bottom, most of it has been filled with this huge 6.3-inch Quad HD Plus display. We have a resolution of 14